Hello, my name is Monica. I'm a beauty, skincare, YouTube enthusiast and amateur. I consume a lot of content on this space, so I thought I would try my hand at making some. This video in particular is going to dive into my makeup inventory. That's right, counting all of the products in each category that I have as far as makeup goes, and it was illuminating. So if you're interested in that and my numbers at the beginning of 2021 for my makeup inventory, then you're in the right spot, and let's jump in. Okay, so if you're curious on how I organized everything, I have it here on my iPad, which is what I'm looking down at, and if that's distracting, I'm sorry. This is how I'm going to be looking at it, and I'm going to start in basically the same order that I would put the makeup on my face. Sorry, very predictable, but that's what we're going to go with. So for primers, I'm also going to have some footage of my makeup collection. I'm not sure if I'll be able to take pictures of everything like in a row, nice and neat, because some of it is scattered in different places. I could try to track it down and we'll see what happens, but at the very least I'm definitely going to be showing some footage of my makeup in the drawers that it's in, or the majority of the drawers that it's in, and so hopefully that's at least interesting as well to see how I organize it. So for the first category we have primer, and for primer I have 11 primers, and that's including samples and backups. I think 11 is definitely high for me. I'd like to see if I could get that down to 5 or 6. One of these is a primer that's for both my face, and then one little mini that's one for my eyes. And I kind of like the idea of having an under eye primer. This is face primers, by the way. But we'll see. If I could get that down to 5 or 6 as my goal by the end of 2021, I would feel a lot more comfortable with that. Next we have foundation, and for foundation I have 7, and I'm pretty comfortable with that. 3 of those are all the same formula but in different colors. I'm not sure if I really need that, if I'm that kind of person that needs a different foundation color for the season, but that's the CYO foundation that was really popular for a while and then going out of business, and I picked up 3 shades that are all basically my shade. So I'll be working through this for a while and I'm fine. I'd like to definitely go through my foundations, and I think if I could get that down to 5 foundations definitely feels a little bit more comfy than 7 feels a little bit much. But I do like to have different coverage. That includes BB creams, CC creams, stuff that's lighter coverage, along with the more full coverage type foundations. And I would like to have, you know, at least one in each coverage category, and maybe some formulas that are in the medium to light coverage that I usually wear, some formulas to be able to have some variety. So 5 would be a good goal for me, I think, in that category. For concealer, I have 9 concealers. That's definitely high. Again, we have some doubles in a formula, some that are older that I really want to get through. I have some pot concealers that I want to get through because I don't think I'm quite exactly a pot concealer person. I definitely prefer a doe foot. So we'll see what kind of progress I can make, but I probably definitely don't need to be taking any in, or at the very least I need to be on the one out, one in type rule for myself. And if I could get that down to 5 as well, I would be much more comfortable with that number. So powders, I have 5 face powders. That includes some minis that I'm hoping I can work through. And if I can get it down to 3 powders, I think I would be definitely happy with that. Even 2 powders, maybe one loose, one pressed. I have a couple of pressed that I just need to get through. So I definitely also don't need to be bringing any powders into my collection. Now there's definitely powders that are on my radar that I'm interested in trying, but I definitely need to be using the ones that I already have in order to be able to try those, and maybe a couple. So if I could get that down to 3 powders, that would be my goal by the end of 2021. Now, setting sprays is interesting because I had a buy one get one deal that really got me, that is taking me forever to go through the ones that I bought and the ones that I got. The ones that I got are still sitting as backups basically, and that's the line of Catrice setting sprays, which I'm not sure how you feel about that brand, but I purchased them a long time ago and I'm still working through them. So I have 8 with all those backups, and I think that I'd like to have maybe 5 for sure. I think I could get it even down to 3 if I was having one that's a more everyday, just refreshing setting spray, one that maybe helps make a more matte foundation dewy, and then one that's like a long-lasting, like Urban Decay All Nighter type setting spray. So 3 would be kind of like ideal, but maybe for more realistic would be to get it down to 5. So we'll see where that number is at the end of the year. Now we're moving into color cosmetics, and this is where the numbers really start to skyrocket, here and in lips as well. I definitely have some kryptonite. Oh, and eyes. Yeah, my base is definitely part of my routine that I'm passionate about. I really like to do a nice natural base, and that can sometimes like take some work, and I'm fine with that. And I find those products exciting, but not quite as exciting as the color. And so for bronzers, it's you know, maybe more minimal average. I have 9 bronzers and contours together. I counted that number together. Some of them cream, some of them powder. If I could get it down to 7, I don't know. I'd like to work through my bronzers. I just don't know how realistic it is. If I could work through 2 bronzers or 1 bronzer and 1 contour, something like that, I would be pretty excited for that. But I definitely don't want that number to grow. I think 9 is as big as it should get. We'll see how that number evolves over the next year. I'm gonna do highlighters next because blushes is the crazy number. So for highlighters, I have 14, and that definitely feels like overkill for me these days. I find that I get a lot of glow from my base. I get a lot of glow from other parts of my routine, and so I'm just barely putting highlighter on these days. I don't know if I'm alone in that. I'm curious if anybody cares to comment about how have their highlighter habits maybe changed over the past year or 2. But for me, 14 is definitely too many. If I could get that down to 10 or less, I would be happy with that. Whether that means decluttering most likely or trying to work through some highlight, that's probably less likely. I do like to have a variety. I like to have natural and more beaming options, but I just think 14 is a bit large for my liking. So next we go into the number that's extremely large for my liking, and it's almost embarrassing, but I have 41 blushes. That includes cream blushes and powder blushes, and that's a lot of blush. And what's worse is that I just love blush, and it's hard because I still have blushes that are on my wish list, you know? That number could grow. Realistically, what I need to do is just take a hard look at the formulas that I like, the colors that I like. I like to have a lot of variety in my blush. And going down from 41, I'm not sure what I could do. I almost don't know what to do as far as setting a goal for that category. I feel like I don't want to say 30 blushes because from 41 down to 30 seems unrealistic for me, knowing myself. Which is crazy that that's unrealistic, because 30 blushes for some people is an insane number. That's like 10 times the number of blushes that some people have. But I want to see what I can get it down to. I want to be working through some of the cream blushes especially that I have, and I want to see what I could do with that number by the end of the year. And let's say my goal is 35. Let's just say that could be hopefully a realistic goal, and at the very least, I don't want to be bringing in lots more blush, but I know myself. I like blush. I like to experiment with blush, try new formulas, and I'm okay with taking some in as long as what's going out hopefully goes to a new home. They're, especially the powder ones, are easy to sanitize, so I'm hoping that I can do something with that number that is a bit more consumer conscious. Okay, moving on into the less exciting stuff, which is brows, mascara, and eyeliner. Right now I have 5 brow products. I don't think that that's too crazy. I could probably get it down to 3. Let's say my goal is a bit more utilitarian and maybe 1 colored brow gel, 1 clear brow gel, and 1 brow pencil. I can see that as a realistic, but if it stays at 5, I'm okay with that. For mascara, I have 3. I'm also okay with that number staying the same. Right now, I'm almost done with 1. I probably could realistically have 1 really natural type mascara and 1 more full volume one and have it down to 2, but 3 I'm okay with. I do get through my mascaras typically, and you should be moving through them and recycling them after the appropriate amount of time, because it is a more bacteria prone product. Eyeliners is a really large number. I'm not sure how. I feel like you're either the kind of person that has like 1 black and 1 brown and that's it, or you're the kind of person like me that has a lot of eyeliners, but they're all different colors, and I like to have different colors. I like to be able to experiment with different colors on the top lash line, on the waterline. So the number is 34 right now. Let's see if I could get that down to 30. But in all honesty, I like to have a variety of eyeliners, and they don't take up that much space, and they're almost all sharpenable. So I think that it's okay and easy to keep sanitary. So we'll see where that number goes, but I'm not too abashed about it. For single eyeshadows, I have quite a bit. I have 24. If I could get that to 20, that definitely feels realistic. I think I could get it down to 20. Will I be missing some? I'm not sure. I do like to cycle through using palettes versus using single eyeshadows. And we'll see what this year brings. I definitely brought in a lot of eyeshadow and a lot of lips this past year. And in the past couple of years, blushes. And those are my large categories: eye products, blushes, lips. And I want to see what I can do with them. I want to see if shopping my stash when new releases come out can be a way to quench that desire to be a consumer. And as far as lowering the number, I'm not going to be too preoccupied with it. I just want to stay realistic and only add things to my collection that bring value instead of things that are very similar to what I already have. So we'll see how that number grows, or hopefully shrinks. So for magnetic single eyeshadows, I have 73. That's a really old part of my collection, not in a gross way. Everything still smells fine, performs fine, and is sanitary, but I'm just not, I haven't purchased magnetic single shadows in a long time, and I don't foresee me doing so unless it's in an effort to obtain colors that are really unique, that are part of a new launch or something, and I don't need the majority of the palette, but there's just that one part that's calling to me. I think that's where magnetic single shadows can be really valuable and help to keep a more minimalist or at least consumer conscious collection. And we'll just see. I'm not sure if that number is going to shrink very much. I'm not sure how much it's going to grow. It's good to be conscious of it, and I don't really have a goal surrounding single shadows. I definitely don't want to bring in, more than 100. Right now the number's at 73. We'll see. I really have no idea about what this next year is going to bring as far as magnetic single shadows go. Okay, eyeshadow palettes. I have 34 eyeshadow palettes. I'm really curious if you made it this far, you're still watching, and you have a rough idea of how many eyeshadow palettes, share in the comments. I'm just really interested in what do people's collections look like, and is 34 outrageous to you? Is it small to you? Is that nothing? I think it's quite a lot, but I think it's manageable for me. I'm able to find a lot of joy in the eyeshadow palettes that I have. I want to just set a limit of maybe 35. If I'm bringing more in, I want to make sure that they're really unique and valuable. I don't want to have a lot of repeats. I want to be really in love with my collection, and I want to have a relationship with it. I don't just want it to be something that I barely know anything about. I want to be connected and just finding joy in using it. Sorry if that's a little intimate to be talking about eyeshadows, but that's a part of my collection I really don't want to get out of control, and right now it definitely feels like it could be on the brink of that. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on the numbers. I'm going to be making sure I'm getting use out of them. I love eye makeup. I love doing natural eye makeup, but that doesn't mean that it can't be fun, and to me it is very fun. So we'll just keep an eye on that number, and we'll see what happens by the end of the year. Okay, finally we are down to the lip category. I have a category for lip treatments, and that includes things like lip oils, lip treatments, what it sounds like. And I have 8 of those right now in my collection. Maybe it's more like 10. Sorry about that. I had some footage that cut off, so I'm refilming this little last portion of the video, and we were at lip treatments. It might be closer to 10, but I want to get the number down considerably. I want to work through the ones that I have and only have maybe a couple, maybe 3. One for my desk, one for my purse, one for my vanity. Bedside table is what I meant by desk. Anyway, so I want to get that number down and work through the ones that I have. Definitely on a 1 out, 1 in rule in that sense as well, but not until I work through a few as well. Another little boring number I have here is for lip liners. I have 14 lip liners. That doesn't feel too excessive, but it doesn't feel maybe 100% proper for me personally, because I'm just not a massive lip liner user, although I do like to have them whenever I'm looking for a more structured look. So if I could get that down to 10, I think that would be more reasonable, and that, again, that will probably be decluttering more than actually using things through. I just need to take a look at my collection and see what's actually valuable, and to see if there's anything that is similar enough that I don't need both of them. Okay, and lastly, in the lip category, we randomly enough, and I double and triple counted, but we have 2 numbers for lipsticks and lip glosses. And in some of these categories, a lipstick is still a glossy finish and a lip gloss is in a stick form, but it's definitely a more glossy than firm lipstick finish. And so sometimes these overlap, but the ways that I determine them were basically just by the delivery method and the finish on the lips. So some of them, again, might be kind of overlapping, but oddly enough, the number came out to 40 lipsticks and 40 lip glosses, and that surprised me. That was bigger than I thought it was going to be, but I think that it is still manageable. All my lipsticks are in one drawer, and it's not like the drawer is overflowing or crazy out of control. I wouldn't want that to grow too much, and I definitely want to use up some of my products and work through my collection. I wanted to approach this year in my lipsticks the same way that I want to approach new releases when it comes to eyeshadows and blushes. Have a shop my stash moment, look through my collection, see if there's any colors or finishes that are similar to the new and exciting stuff, and see if I can kind of dupe it within my own collection before I get intrigued and sucked in on the consumerism point with all the new stuff that might be coming out this year. So not a big fan of how large the number is, but I'm also not gonna beat myself up on it. I do love my lip products as well. If I could get it down to maybe, I'm not going to set a goal to get it down to, I just want to watch the number actually and see what happens and be really conscious this year, and we'll see what happens. So that finishes it up. If you're still here with me, thank you so much. Thank you for spending your time watching my video and my content. I really appreciate it. sound off below if you want to talk about anything, if you have any constructive criticism for me, if you want to talk about what your numbers are. I'm so curious. I'd love to chat, and if you are so inclined, please do hit subscribe, like the video, and I hope to see you in my next one. Thank you.